All right. Hello, Chef Kevin, and hello to our viewers. Welcome to the AI Chef Show.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So we got a
Got some
studio
value.
audience today. There you go, Chef David.
Good to see you, Chef Kevin.
Yeah, no, it's great to see you, and kudos to you on our new AI designed chef's kitchen. So
I
there
like it.
you go.
We were talking. We both decided we liked blue better than the yellow of the old one, and we spent some time in the design studio and came up with the new kitchen. I like it.
Yeah, no, fantastic. And I see behind us, Chef David, there's something that's also cool about this particular episode.
Yes, there is. This is, well, next month will be our first sponsored episode, official sponsored episode of the AI Chef Show. We have, okay, I'm going to stop it one more time. But we have our first sponsor. And although the sponsorship starts next month, we wanted to do a special episode for them today to thank them. It's a little startup. You may have heard of them, a tiny, tiny company. Two or three people working there called Zoom Communications. It used to be Zoom Video, and they switched to Zoom Communications.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we're excited to have Zoom sponsor, yeah, the AI chefs for
Yeah.
some of our episodes. So
Thank,
fantastic.
thank you to Leo and Kelly in particular, and the whole
Yeah,
team there.
absolutely. Okay, so let's get into the normal
Our
AI chef's
regular
news.
show. As you
Yeah,
all know, on Wednesdays we come out with a new tip, a new recipe, and on Tuesdays we do the AI news, which I am loving more and more every week because there's always new stuff. There's always good fun stuff.
yeah, no, no. So this is great. So maybe I'll start, Chef David,
Sure.
because I picked a story that is actually local to me because I'm just in Canada, just in, outside of Toronto, and that's technically the Halton region. So this was interesting. Just starting yesterday,
Ah.
the Halton Region Police, that services me, so they are now using an AI agent for non-emergency calls. So not when you call 911.
Right.
But when you call the non-emergency number, this AI agent, as of yesterday, is going to front end the calls. And they have a pretty good acronym because not all acronyms are good. So they call it SARA,
That
which
is good.
stands for the Smart Answering Routing Assistant. So according to this news release here, they get into the 911, the emergency, kind of, they call them communicators. That's what they call the answering people for 911. Anyway, the 160,000 non-emergency calls every year, and that's tying up the phone lines when you have an emergency. So now they're using this AI tool from a company called Hyper, and it basically, if a crime has happened, but it's somebody stole your car. Your car is stolen. The truth is, you don't need it's not an emergency call. You want the police to investigate it, so you call the non-emergency number.
They get
If a
mad if they
cat
get
is
mad if you call the emergency number and it's not a real emergency. They get
No,
really,
and
really
like a
mad.
cat, your cat is stuck in the tree or whatever. Like there's a 311 service that is better suited. So anyway, so I thought that this was a really good use. I like how, they're not putting it in front of emergency calls because we could imagine negative stories when things go wrong with AI. But this is a really good use, I think, of deploying human resources where you want them on the, kind of on the emergency calls, and then, providing good service to citizens for those non-emergency calls. So yeah, I don't know if I'll have a chance to call and talk to Sarah AI, but on the Hyper, which is the company, on their website, there was a number you could call just to sample how it works. So I may do that after the show, Chef David. So what do
You
you
know,
think?
I have mixed feelings about this. In general, I'm very positive about AI. I love the AI things, but it, usually when I love AI, it's because it can do it better than I can do it myself, or do it better than any human can do it.
Right.
And I don't think it's going to do a better job than unless they had someone bad working there. But I don't think it'll do a better job than the human operator. And the human operator, I'm picturing this nice person who sits there all day, excuse me, helping people, and is now out of a job. I rarely do the AI is taking the job thing. I rarely go there. But this
No,
time I
but
think I have to go
this
there.
isn't, no, no, but let's be clear, Chef David, this is not like what they're saying is they're understaffed. There's nobody's the jobs are being displaced. They're just trying to allow these people
Oh.
that were being tied up on non-emergency calls to not have the same wait time when you call with an emergency. So
So no
this
one's
is
losing a job?
no one's losing a job. They in
Oh.
fact said
They
that
could have
there
just
are,
hired more people though.
well, yeah, but there are like things like budgets and financial
I know.
reality, right?
But there's some
So
things, if it's ordering a pizza, I don't care if it's a robot or a person. But when I call the police, I feel like I might want to talk to a person.
yeah, I don't. Anyway, maybe we maybe on another show we'll call in live to the number and see how it works. Because yeah, I did look at the site and they did emphasize that it it can be trained on all your policies and procedures, of course, but it also said that it can, you know, it's trained to be empathetic, right? Which I know
I,
we have a giant
I
debate. Can
think I
AI
think
do
it's going to
that
do a great
versus
job. That I'm not concerned about. I think it'll do a great
yeah?
job. For
So anyway,
some reason,
so
I'm meh on this one, but yeah, there's nothing
okay,
wrong with it.
okay.
It is going to. I'm not. Yeah, my criticism isn't that I think it's going to do a bad job, yeah, or anything like that. I think it'll be fine.
Well, it's not taking jobs, and it's hopefully freeing up people, the humans,
Okay.
to focus on the calls. So I mean, I'm two thumbs up on this. It sounds like you're a thumb up and thumb down.
I'm a thumb sideways. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. That's like okay. So Chef David, why don't we go to your story?
Oh, okay. Let's flip over here. And this is a new OpenAI model agent tool, whatever. They keep coming out with new things. And this one I'm excited about because it automatically goes through your code and fixes it or finds the bugs and stuff. And I use a lot of software, and the software, OBS we're using right now. Every few months, there's an OBS update, and the first thing I look is the list of bug fixes, and there's a list of 100 bug fixes, and for every software, and OBS is, we think, well, they're that's open. What about no stuff that I pay for? Big companies, Microsoft stuff that comes out, right? You have bug fixes, and you think that they have coders before it goes live that are looking through that line by line by line by line. And these people are masters of it. This is really nerdy, but I watch some coders on Twitch, and they share their screen while they're coding, and it's hieroglyphics to me. But I watch them type code, and you see them, and they'll look through what looks like, hieroglyphics to me, and they'll be, oh, that comma shouldn't be there. I mean, these people are geniuses, but even so, they're human, and there's millions and millions and millions of lines of code. They can't look through every line all the time, but AI can. So I'm thinking this is one of those things. This is a big one. Of all the AI changes, I feel like this is a big one. I feel like we're going to see immediate change. I feel like 2 years from now, when I get my new software update, it's going to say new features, and bug fixes are only going to be one or two because they're going to get caught before they go out. Right now, I catch the bugs. You catch the bugs, right? The user catches the bugs. I
Right.
think this is going to maybe, and I was so pessimistic the last story, but I am super optimistic this story. I think that, are you with me? You're a programmer, so you know more than me.
Yeah. So no, no. So I'm with you. So a couple of things here. So this Aardvark thing. Yes, it's focused on finding bugs, but more importantly, it's designed to continually look for security flaws. And so
Oh,
this is a big thing because when humans generate code, then they go through this code review. So other coders look at your code and look for things like buffer overflows and opportunities for SQL or prompt injection attacks. And so they look at certain things for certain patterns, so to see if there's any vulnerabilities. The challenge is that so much of the code has been written by AI. So it's written really super fast, and it really enhanced the capability of human coders. But the problem is that the code is being created faster than it can be reviewed. So this Aardvark, as part of your basically your code pipeline, that's the process by which you write code and check it in and move it into production and do all the unit testing, etc. This is now running in the background 24/7, constantly looking for vulnerabilities that were introduced either by code that was created by humans at kind of human slower speed, or code that was created by AI, which is created at fast AI speed. So this is nice now that this Aardvark tool is going to find and fix especially security vulnerabilities
Yeah.
at AI speed. So I'm super excited,
Yeah.
and as well as you. But that's just kind of a little more details in terms of what's going on there.
No, I appreciate your background. That's what makes the show so great. But I am excited about that because every year or so we have this massive vulnerability thing that happens,
Yes.
some breach or something, and it's because the way we find these things is they get out there in the wild and some bad person finds them. So I love the idea of AI finding this stuff in house. I'm more optimistic about this than I was pessimistic about the last one.
Okay, well that's good. It balances it out.
More than
So
balances
okay,
out.
so I know we appreciate Zoom sponsoring, and we wanted to. There was a couple of Zoom stories, so I'm going to do one that was brand new. So this was pretty cool. So
Yeah,
um,
bonsai.
yeah, so Zoom. This was on the Zoom blog, November 5th. So this was just a few days ago. Um, so Zoom, as it says here, is going to acquire Bonsai, and this is really continuing Zoom's focus on the small and medium-sized business. So Bonsai was this unified platform. Here's from the Bonsai website. You can say they've got a little banner that says they're joining Zoom. So Bonsai was really targeted at you know, individual solopreneurs and small businesses. It helped you do all the estimating and client billing, et cetera. So this is a great marrying of the communication and collaboration platform that Zoom brings to some of these, more project management and agreements and billing that Bonsai offers. And what I like about this is um, there was when we were at Zoom Perspectives and they talked at Zoomtopia, there was the Work Vivo and Zoom had come together, and that was more on the employee experience. And then at Zoomtopia, the SVP of marketing, Kim, talked about the solopreneur top 50 that list or awards that Zoom was sponsoring. So this really this Bonsai piece is really Zoom continuing to lean into delivering capabilities for small and medium businesses. And I think that they're in a good spot to do that because of their focus on simplicity.
Mhm.
And I know you're going to talk about a
That's their
story,
whole
but just
brand.
yeah, but just from a personal experience, I was just last week talking to kind of a friend that runs a small ad agency, digital marketing agency. They use Zoom, but he was telling me because I had set up a Zoom call because we were talking about something. I was using AI Companion, and he had not yet turned on AI Companion. And
Oh,
so
wow.
I was like, wait a second, you have a paid Zoom plan. AI Companion is available at no additional cost if you have any Zoom paid plan. So because he was like, well, how are you getting that transcript in the thing? And I'm like, buddy, go and turn it on, right? So, which I think is another great thing for small and medium businesses. Zoom has included AI Companion, and you don't have to pay additional for that. So, anyway, Zoom plus Bonsai, pretty cool. I'm sure I'll go in more depth as it emerges, but I don't know. What do you feel in terms of that, Chef
No,
David?
I'm excited about it. I checked it out, and first of all, a lot of companies with as much cash as Zoom do a lot of buying. Oh, well, we should buy this and we should buy this, and Zoom does not acquire a lot of companies. They very, very rarely do. They take a lot of time to think about it, and I'm trying to think if there's an exception. Every time it's been a huge success for them. Liminal, the Work Vivo, exceeded analyst expectations on both, and so the fact that they made an acquisition itself is like, ooh, all the hairs are going up on the back of my neck. What is this one about? Bonsai, I love it. I love the name. I love everything about it. It's funny. I had this long chat, and it's for small businesses. I'm a small business, so I wanted to start using it. It's a new Zoom thing. I want to start using it, and I had a big chat with AI to try to figure out what it was, and I'm like, okay, so it seems to have some CRM stuff. I'm already using HubSpot. Will this replace HubSpot? And it's like, no, if you're already on HubSpot, you don't want to use this. It has it's kind of CRM light stuff. I'm like, okay. It also has invoicing and stuff. I'm already on QuickBooks. Do I want to switch from QuickBooks to this? Like, no. QuickBooks is like, I'm like, oh, am I already beyond this? And it's like, yeah, kind of. Like, this would have been good for you a few years ago when you were starting, when you're not ready for HubSpot, when you're not ready for QuickBooks, you're not ready for 10 other apps that you need to do all these things, project management, da 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 da. You need one little small to medium business friendly, startup friendly app that's gonna keep track of your projects, your follow ups with your sales, like and the invoicing. You know, just the basic stuff. So. I think you start with this and then you graduate to, okay, now we need a real CRM, time to move to Salesforce HubSpot. Now we need some, my accountant's saying he needs some more tools now to move to QuickBooks. But I'm kind of sad that I don't get to use it. I'm like too old as a business, but I love it because small to medium business has been a focus of a lot of our content and a lot of the industry. And it's like, it's most of the business in America is small business. Why are we always talking about the few big businesses? So I'm excited about it. And of course, obviously, the integration with Zoom is going to make sense. This isn't going to be just like WorkVivo. This isn't going to be something that Zoom has in addition. This is going to be part of Zoom.
Yeah. And now, okay, so this is a great segue, Chef David. So you talked about Zoom. Maybe you start with Zoom plus Bonsai, and then you may expand and need to integrate with some other platforms. So maybe over to your story.
Yeah, let me lead into this before I even bring up the graphic. Something I don't know if this is live yet, but I showed a video on a recent AI chefs. Actually, it may have been in last week's live show. I'm not sure, but of a friend client of mine who is using Claude, and you remember the story. He was using Claude, and he has everything
Right.
integrated with Claude, so he doesn't touch any of his other tools. He just asks Claude, what's going on in my sales, what's going on in my programming, what's going on, and all this kind of stuff. And there was one tool, Slack, that didn't integrate with Claude, and he was going to get rid of Slack, and enough people said to Slack, hey, we're all dumping you, that Slack said, okay, we'll integrate with Claude. And now they do. So, and I think that Zoom suffers from this perception of, it's Zoom. It's its own thing. I use Zoom for meetings, right? I have my email for this, and I have all my other tools, and Zoom is my meeting tool. And Zoom is really trying to be, Zoom Workplace, Zoom AI, and that means opening up the APIs, opening up the SDKs, and making partnerships with other companies. And this isn't a recent story; it's from earlier in the year, but just to show that they are, walking the walk and not just talking the talk. And they had this might be too small to read, but this was an article about it. There was also a press release on the Zoom website, just a list of all these companies that they're integrating with: Asana, Box, ServiceNow, Microsoft, OneDrive, Google Drive, Notion, Coda. I'm just going through some of them, and they're clearly a big dump of 16 big ones. These aren't. What does that do? We've all heard of Microsoft, OneDrive. Shows that they're making this a priority. And I particularly like to see Microsoft, I said 3 times now, in that list there because it's a big push for Zoom. It used to be Zoom or Microsoft, and we're not living in that world anymore. Every time I talk to my friends at Zoom, they're like, we're we're doing this with stuff where people could use it with Microsoft now. I'm like, yeah, I get it. So. But just in general, I just think this shows that this is the new Zoom. Someone wrote an article today about how one of our friends about how UC isn't the old UC of what it used to be, and Zoom video isn't Zoom video now; it's Zoom Communications, or Zoom AI. But that's what it is. I think that's what it has to be, and I think this is an important part of it.
Yeah, and certainly, I mean, you mentioned that, like, and I've talked about this before, like the Zoom and Microsoft integration is very, very strong. So it's Exchange email and OneDrive, which is underpinning SharePoint, and then your calendar integration, and then all those other like Jira and ServiceNow, et cetera. So I think Zoom knows they're a collaboration and communication company, and they specifically say like they're not going to build a spreadsheet. They're not, use either Google Sheets or Microsoft Excel. They really are focused on being great at what they do, and then they're going to integrate. So I think the story that that you brought up and that maybe not everybody knows is, yeah, they're going out and making sure that AI companion, if you ask a question, it also has knowledge of some of the other important applications that you as a small, medium, or large business may use. So yeah, absolutely good integration. So good if you're starting with the Zoom plus Bonsai, small, but also as you grow and become a medium and maybe even an enterprise, there's other integrations that Zoom is bringing to bear. So yeah, it's an interesting, yeah, it's an interesting world, and I like to see that there are more of these integrations, right? Because no one company is going to provide all the capabilities that even a solopreneur is going to use, right? So
But
very, very
that just brought to mind. I have an extra story. I have a bonus story for you, Kevin. I didn't. It
cool.
wasn't on the list today. But what we're talking about with Zoom made me think about it. About a Zoom. We used to think of it as a meeting company, which is its own little box, and it really is, an AI company with all these integrations. And in my mind, there's two kinds of companies. There's companies that have smaller companies that have apps and services that run on someone else's data center, usually Amazon, and there are the big boys that have, or I should say, the big people. Sorry, I'm old. Sometimes I slip. The big people who the big players who have their own data centers.
Right.
They have big monster buildings, and you go inside, and it looks like Tron with all the racks and all the blue cables everywhere. And Zoom is building a new one in the UK. And it's interesting for a few reasons. First of all, Zoom is one of those big players. They have their own data centers, right? It's going through their data centers. But building one in the UK, first of all, the European presence, less latency and everything. It's not hopping back and forth. It's all local. But well, I guess the UK is less Euro than the rest of Euros. They did that Brexit thing, but this is still Europe. They have they're stricter there than we are with the regulations, with data security and privacy and all that sort of stuff. I think it's a lot easier to build a data center in the United States than it is to build a data center in Europe. It's tighter there. And man, that's just my perception, but I keep reading about how the European Union keeps putting out all these things about this data privacy that we don't have here. So the fact that they're building it there makes me feel like it's a higher standard facility. So it's just more part of the Zoom story being more than video and having that kind of infrastructure.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that story and I thought, oh, maybe we'll talk about that next week. But we're talking about this week. But yeah, so I think that data sovereignty, the political climate is perhaps more interesting of late. I saw that the UK decided that it was going to stop sharing some intelligence with the US because they didn't want to be complicit with the bombing of some of the alleged drug runners. So this
Uh,
just goes to show that politics and data sovereignty, there are reasons that certain companies or governments may want to keep their data in their country. And so, Zoom has some interesting features where you can use Zoom node services to keep capabilities in your own data center. But now this UK data center says, okay, I'm going to let Zoom run my cloud, and I'm okay if it's in the UK, but I want it to be in my country. And so for certain companies, it's not a choice because some agreements that you sign, especially like if you're in regulated industries like insurance industries or financial services, you sign agreements with your customers saying that the data you will keep in your country. So like I'm in Canada here, there's sometimes you can't use certain services if the data is stored outside of Canada. And so this is great seeing that Zoom is giving those government and companies in the UK the option now by building out this particular data center. And on top of what you started with, Chef David, better latency and just ability to better scale just for people that are closer. So there you go. That's a bonus. Good
Yeah.
bonus story, Chef David.
It tied in. I felt like it tied into the theme of the episode.
Yeah, no, absolutely. This is always good. And yeah, no, this is always good to talk to you. And yeah, kudos on just all that you do. And we were 1 minute before live and we didn't have the chef's hats on, but the
You
digital
always
master.
remember the hats. Viewers, I got to tell you, every episode we get ready to go live, and I'm like, okay, did I forget anything? I feel like I forgot something. And Kevin's always like, the hats.
We don't have the hats. And look how cool the AI chef's hats are. So, oh, there you go.
And now we have our sound effects.
Fantastic. Well, let's why don't you zoom out to show all the whole kitchen with all our super high-tech AI cameras there. I don't know what type of camera that is, but it was generated by AI on the left and right. So there you go.
I love how all the cameras are cable free. Right?
Well, because in the AI world, I'm sure you could ask AI, how can I make
they're
all
all
these?
they're all battery powered. I guess that makes
Yeah,
sense.
and the chairs, we were saying yesterday, the chairs are for potentially smaller people. So so this is, maybe we'll do a special youth focus show.
And let us know in the comments anything we should add. I can put some stuff on the walls. A lot of space. We could put some more stuff on the shelves. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Well, and thank you very much, Chef David, and thank you all for watching.
All right, we'll see you next week. Take care. Please like and subscribe.